We are live inside Kokomo Artworks, and the doctor is in the house. Introduce yourself. You're going to be a First Friday sensation.
I'm Dan Hibner from Rochester, Indiana. Grew up there, then moved away for about 30 years and practiced medicine in Charleston, South Carolina.
Wow.
And then came back home and built on some property that I have there.
But you're doing something really, really cool that you're going to bring into Artworks and you're going to bring to First Fridays. It all started with an infection, is that right?
I developed West Nile virus and got a brain infection 3 years ago almost now, and was paralyzed from the neck down on a ventilator, not expected to live.
Right.
And then about 3 months in rehab, I decided to get back to painting. So I began to have to use my left hand.
Right.
I still don't have good use of my right arm.
But the extraordinary thing is exactly what you just said. You are 100% right-handed, and you've learned to paint and do everything with your left hand now as well.
And I've discovered in that process that I'm probably a little more creative being left-handed now than I was right-handed.
Wow.
And I do, for the last 20 or 25 years, exclusively do watercolor. And that's pretty tough to
Yes, it is.
control and get what you want out of it. So, but I've
Sure.
been able to do that pretty well. And one of the nice things that I think people would like to know, about a year and a half ago, I finished a monochromatic portrait. And I've worked in portraits only 2 years. And I submitted it to Hoosier Salon in Indianapolis. And it didn't go anywhere, which is no surprise. That's a very, very high scale salon.
Sure.
They then had an invitational show in New Harmony. And I thought, oh, well, I'm going to put her in there. There were 70-some pieces in that show, and I got number 1.
Wow.
And she'll be in this show.
Nice. How incredible is that?
Yeah. How,
And I know you like watercolors, but do you have a particular favorite type of muse or style?
I don't know that I've really developed. I do such a variety of landscape and florals and portraiture, but I suppose if I were to limit what I do to one thing, it would be floral.
Wow,
I
really?
just love, I grow a lot of stuff in my garden, and so I do a lot of drawing and painting from the garden. And I've got some in this show. So.
Nice. Now, had you always been into watercolors beforehand, or is this just something that you picked up?
In fact, there's an interesting chapter in my art history. I worked with a watercolorist probably 30 or more years ago now. Couldn't stand it. Just couldn't imagine continuing watercolor. It was such
Wow.
a mess. So I gave it up for another decade. And then something said, try it again. And from then on, that's all I've done.
Sure.
So,
And one of the cool things that you told me even before the camera started rolling was when you were paralyzed from the neck down, it wasn't watercolor that pulled you out, it was voting.
I was going to go vote that spring, and I thought, I am going to sign my own name. And I learned to write left-handed before I started drawing again.
And it was 3 months' time, is that what it
3
took?
months, yeah.
It's incredible. And you guys, I'm not kidding. There's going to be all kinds of amazing watercolors right here, First Friday at Artworks. Come downtown. It's an amazing time. You meet the doctor himself.
I'll be here Friday night.
He's got an amazing story to tell, and you definitely don't want to miss it. So again, Artworks this Friday. Don't miss it.